Hello and welcome to this introductory presentation on the politics of change. To focus your minds for what we're going to be covering in this semester, I think it's a good idea to introduce the essay question now. The essay is due in by 4 p.m. on the 10th of December. And there are two requirements to your submission. First of all, you'll need to submit a traditional paper copy of your assignment, a printout with a relevant cover sheet completed. But you will also need to submit your work electronically online via GradeMark. Instructions will follow on the process of submitting via GradeMark, but it's as simple as uploading a text document. The reasons for that are that your work will be checked for plagiarism and to make sure that any sources that feature within your work are correctly attributed. And that's to avoid you making the mistake of putting things into your work that you don't give credit to the author. I will shortly signpost you to the referencing system that is used at Leeds Trinity, which is the Harvard system, and I'll provide you with information on how to reference your documents according to that system. So, without further ado, the essay title which you are working towards this semester before Christmas is "Which political ideologies found expression in the tripartite system and which features of the system continued into the modern education system?" So clearly there are at least three parts to this essay. Firstly, you'll need to be clear on the traditional political ideologies as expressed by the Liberal Party, Conservative Party and the Labour Party. Secondly, you'll need knowledge of what the tripartite system was. And thirdly, you'll need an idea of what are the features within the current modern education system, the type of system that we have in the UK today. In order to answer this essay question, before the reading week, we'll look briefly at some of the main features of the three political party ideologies, and that's to bring you up to speed really in what liberal ideology is, what conservative ideology is, and what socialist or Labour ideology is. After the reading week, we'll look at in more depth in details of the tripartite system, and towards the end of this semester we'll look at some of the features of the modern education system. The recommended course text is Education in a Post-Welfare Society by Sally Tomlinson. Do be careful that you get hold of the second edition, which goes up to 2005, rather than the first edition, which stops at 2001. It's available in the library. There are copies in the library available on this class mark, but it's also available as an online text which you can locate in eBri. So for example, I shall put the search in of the author, and here's the text. As you can see, it's available as an electronic book, so it won't cost you anything as you have a library account here. So I'll click into that. Click on Click to View, which may require your Athens login. So you'll have an Athens login which looks something like this. Log into Athens, and there the text should be available online for you to read. You can also print out a number of pages from this text if you prefer to read them in a paper format. So you can see that you are able to read the text online. For safekeeping, you can also add this text to your bookshelf. by clicking on the bookshelf tab. As you can see here on the left, I've created various folders to organise my work. These are the subjects that I teach here. Once you've saved the book onto your bookshelf, if you so wish, you can move the book into a folder so that you're more organised. And here are the texts in my Politics of Change bookshelf, which I think are relevant to this course. You can do the same thing and access them online. Okay. You can also, of course, buy the book, and I think it costs about £21–22 if you prefer to get hold of your own copy. So this is the course content of what we'll be covering this semester. Firstly, today you'll be introduced to the module outline and structure, and also some of the key thinkers regarding liberal, conservative and socialist ideologies. The following week we'll look in more depth to within liberal ideology and education, and how liberal ideology began to and continues to have a significant impact on educationalist thinking. The following week we'll move on to the conservatives and how conservative thinking and ideas have impacted on the education system, with the conservatives spending a considerable amount of last century in power. One should imagine that they made some significant contributions to the education system, and we'll begin to explore them. We'll then move on to socialism and the older ideas of the Labour Party and what their ideologies stood for and how they manifested themselves within the education system. We'll be looking at New Labour as such as a completely different idea, because as we'll come to understand, New Labour's ideologies are quite distinct from the old Labour ideologies or traditional socialist ideologies. We'll then move on to a reading week where you'll be instructed to undertake some reading tasks, ready to come prepared in week 6 to start looking at the 1944 Education Act and the tripartite system. We'll then look at the period immediately after the creation of the tripartite system in 1945 through to a period up to about the 1970s, and this period is known as political consensus, a golden age, if you like, for educational development and educational stability. We'll then miss another week of teaching when progress tutorials take place on week 8, and you might use this time constructively to begin planning your essay. In week 9, we'll look at the end of consensus following the election of the Thatcher government in 1979 and the influence of the Conservative government between 1979 and 1997, a period of breakdown in consensus, and also the introduction of the 1988 Education Reform Act, the National Curriculum and so on. On the 10th session, on the 1st of December, we'll begin looking at some of the policy implementations and ideas of New Labour, who were in power for 13 years between 1997 and May this year, where they were displaced by the Conservative Lib Dem alliance. We'll be looking at the coalition government and the policy implementations that they're trying to put into place after Christmas. So we'll focus on these very new developments and changes in the next semester and the assignment that you'll work on then. Okay, I hope that's been useful. Oh, the final session will be an essay clinic, which is unstructured teaching, but I'll be available for 2 hours to discuss any of the finer points that you are wanting to discuss regarding the content of your essays.